Have you ever been duped, hoodwinked, hornswoggled, bamboozled? Despite the fact there are lots of fun words to describe it, being fooled isn't something that people usually enjoy. We're not even safe from such deception when settling down with a lovely video game, as even seemingly benevolent game developers aren't above a bit of misdirection. Shocking, I know. For this video, we're looking at games that make a point of pretending that they're over when they're actually not. You're happily playing away when something unexpected happens, and suddenly you're looking at a game over screen or a set of scrolling credits. Maybe you believe for a moment that the game actually ends this way, or perhaps you're left thinking you've done something wrong and need to try a different approach. Either way, you find yourself momentarily disorientated, preparing to start again. Then it's revealed the whole thing was but a ruse. The game continues in some kind of humorous or surprising manner, and you, my friend, have been had. There's no shame in it, it's happened to all of us. I'm the completely honest and reliable Ashton from Triple Jump, and here are 10 games that fooled us with fake game over screens. Number 10, Lollipop Chainsaw. Lollipop Chainsaw is a hack-and-slash game released for the PS3 and Xbox 360 in 2012. The protagonist of this unusual title is a chainsaw-packing cheerleader named Juliet, who is tasked with saving her town from a zombie outbreak. Cue lots of satire, silliness, short skirts, and senseless violence as she proceeds to slice through hordes of undead in a game that's as bright and quirky as it is gore-soaked. Early on in the game, Juliet tries to save her high school sweetheart Nick, who is bitten in a fracas with an undead straggler. As the infection takes hold, Nick realises that his days are numbered, and gives Juliet an oddly expletive-laden apology for spoiling her birthday. Juliet despairs and the screen fades to black, displaying a tasteful Finn, a tragic end to a tragic tale. But wait! Juliet has a totally sensible idea. In order to stop the spread of the zombie infection, she uses her trusty chainsaw to lop off Nick's head, and proceeds to, somehow, keep it alive. It was the only way to save her boyfriend, and now he's conveniently portable too. Not only is this adorably romantic, but it also clearly influenced Mamiya from God of War, probably. Number 9, the Monkey Island series. The Monkey Island series chronicles the misadventures of wannabe pirate Guybrush Threepwood and his many run-ins with the ruthless LeChuck. Over the course of the original trilogy, Mr. Threepwood gets himself into a few scrapes, and handily for this list, one or two of them result in a fake game over screen. In 1990's Secret of Monkey Island, walking too close to a cliff edge results in Guybrush plummeting to his assumed death. A game over screen appears, complete with a cheeky comment about hoping you'd saved the game, before Guybrush suddenly springs back to his safety. His explanation? Rubber tree, of course. Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge sets up an elaborate trap involving a vat of acid, faking out the player with what initially seems to be a game over screen if they take too long solving the puzzle, before cleverly subverting it. Then, in The Curse of Monkey Island, Guybrush drinks a concoction of medicine and alcohol and instantly passes out. The other characters wrongly assume that he's dead and place his coffin into a crypt. An ending screen pops up and the credits roll. Alright, Monkey Island series, you may have fooled me twice, but I totally saw the third one coming. Honestly. Number 8, Futurama the Game. You might expect the video game adaptation of a cartoon series filled with clever and unconventional humour to contain some cheeky fourth wall breaking content, and 2003's Futurama for PS2 and Xbox doesn't disappoint. This 3D action platformer puts players in the futuristic shoes of show mainstays like Fry, Bender and Leela, and tasks them with fighting back against the greedy and nefarious Mum, who has finally gained dominion over the Earth. Players will explore a number of interesting locations up to and including the surface of the sun. But as with so many classic episodes, things all start off on the Planet Express HQ. As the crew set out to fix their battered ship, Fry is tasked with finding a hammer. There's only one problem. Said hammer is propping up a pile of dangerous rubble. Now, you might not know this, but much like the hammer in question, Fry is not the sharpest tool in the box. Cue a massive collapse and a quick game over screen, complete with iconic theme tune. Of course, that's not really the end, as the fake-out is quickly interrupted by Professor Farnsworth, explaining his reanimator machine. This device instantly replicates crew members whenever they die, raising some frankly unanswerable existential questions. Still, quite handy to have around, I suppose. Number 7, Mario and Luigi, Dream Team Bros. Mario and Luigi, the handheld role-playing spin-off series of Nintendo's mighty franchise, has seen the famous Italian brothers find themselves in a lot of very strange situations. Allying with their baby selves or spending most of the entire game inside Bowser's digestive system, for example. Mario and Luigi Dream Team Bros is no exception, taking the brothers on an adventure into Dreamland, where many dreamy adventures are sure to await. When their sleepy quest takes them to a place called Mount Pajama, the brothers are presented with a strange fountain, and are given the option to drink the water. Would you drink untested water from a mountain fountain? I mean, it's probably fine, right? Well, on brand for the game's theme, the water sends Mario and Luigi into a deep sleep. A long and flowery piece of prose will then scroll up the screen, detailing the brothers' encounters with a seemingly endless pile of mushrooms, and describing their mustaches as fluttering like gossamer in the mountain breeze. This is all followed by a game over screen and a fade to black. Luckily, Prince Dreambert is there to wake them up, and their hit points have been restored too. Who cares about some silly little hallucinatory side effects? Number 6, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. The term fission-mailed would only ever really be used in two circumstances. One is if someone was very unsafely using the postal service to distribute nuclear materials. The other is when talking about the infamous mind games offered up in Konami's 2001 stealth gem, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Towards the end of the game, player character Raiden starts to receive some extremely odd communications from his contacts, speaking in riddles and giving fourth wall-breaking orders to stop sitting so close to the screen and turn off the game's console. Oh, and he's butt naked through all of this too. Awkward. The mind games aren't over even after Raiden gets his clothes back. When he and Solid Snake are fighting through Arsenal gear a little later, the screen will flash white as if the player has been killed, but not everything is as it seems. First off, the text reads fission mailed instead of mission failed. Secondly, the options read omit/continent instead of exit/continue. And thirdly, the screen that usually shows the cause of death is instead just showing the ongoing action. It all disappears moments later and everyone carries on as normal, only with that subtle niggling sensation that something really weird just happened. Don't worry, Raiden, I deal with that sensation daily. Number 5, Prince of Persia 2, The Shadow and the Flame. 1993's Prince of Persia 2 The Shadow and the Flame sees the return of the titular prince as he once again saves the princess from the evil vizier Jafar. This swashbuckling sequel featured upgraded visuals and a more diverse world to explore, and was filled with devious traps and horrible ways to die. It also featured a particularly esoteric puzzle that nicely invokes the subject of this list. Towards the end of the prince's adventure, he must retrieve the power of the mystical blue flame. It's not as easy as just dispatching the guard, jumping the gap and picking it up though. That will result in a flash-fried prince. What's the solution? Well, dying, obviously. Yes, the prince must allow himself to be killed by the guard standing nearby. Normally, when our protagonist meets an untimely doom, a command appears on the screen encouraging the player to press a button to continue. Here, the player must ignore said command, as the prince's shadow emerges, leaps the gap, and claims the flame. Seriously, how am I supposed to know to do that? At least the guard bows in reverence afterwards, but is it because the prince rises from the dead, or in recognition of the player somehow figuring out what to do? I think the latter is more impressive, to be honest. Number 4, Jamalami. Our American viewers might not be aware of this one, even if you've played 1999 PS1 Rhythm 'em Up, Jamalami. You see, the fake Game Over, manifesting here as a fake credit sequence, was censored from the US release of the game. Don't worry though, we're about to present it in all its sacrilegious glory for those of you who missed out. Jamalami is the follow-up to 1996's Parappa the Rapper, and follows an Ovine rock guitarist named Lammy. As in, she's a lamb and a rock guitarist. Ovine rock isn't a genre. At least, I don't think it is. Anyway, the game follows Lammy as she tries to get to her concert, but is faced with various musical challenges along the way, one of which takes a surprising and rather slippery turn. Yes, that's right, after a near miss with a speeding car, Lammy literally dies from slipping on a banana peel, and wakes up in some kind of twisted nether realm. She assumes she's dead, the credits roll, and Lammy strolls off to explore her cozy new underworld. Shortly afterwards, this pumpkin-headed fellow will appear, forcing the credits to stop rolling and press-ganging Lammy into another concert. The game continues and the oddly bleak ending is averted. Phew! That was one hell of a fake-out. Get it? Number 3, Disgaea 3, Absence of Justice. If you're unfamiliar with the Disgaea series, it's basically a franchise of outlandish strategy games where its various protagonists tend to be tykes with machinations of becoming evil overlords, and the whole thing is set in an underworld full of demons, catgirls, and penguins with peg legs. Got that? Good, because I'm not explaining it again. Disgaea 3 Absence of Justice has an underworld high school setting, where main protagonist Mao is a student in the Evil Academy. Mao is, unsurprisingly, hell-bent on overthrowing his overlord father to become the new overlord, mostly on a quest for power, but also for revenge for having his video game consoles destroyed. We totally feel you there, Mao. This would-be overlord's first encounter with his father doesn't go so well though. He and his companion Almaz are fighting just the overlord's hand, and it proceeds to wipe the floor with them as only hands can. And that's it, game over. Oh wait, there's a question mark there. We're still in this, guys! Luckily, Mao is too willful and pig-headed to let the game end there. And he lives on to consolidate his power and try another way. You just can't keep a good kid down. Or an evil kid in this case. Number 2, Bayonetta. In the original Bayonetta, first released in 2009 for the Xbox 360 and PS3, players took control of the titular outrageous witch as she embarked on an adventure filled with sinister angelic creatures, stiletto guns, and monsters made of hair. This madcap journey culminates in a battle against an entity known as Jubileus, a goddess-like being who the game's antagonists have been attempting to revive. This multiple-stage confrontation sees players locked in an epic battle with the colossal Jubileus, avoiding massive goddess punches and homing projectiles with creepy angel heads on them, until the super-powerful deity is finally defeated. Unfortunately, it looks like we're in for a bit of a downer ending, as Jubileus' petrified corpse plummets in an unavoidable and catastrophic collision course with Earth. Bayonetta looks uncharacteristically dejected as the credits roll. What a price to pay for victory. Luckily, fellow witch and Bayonetta's BFF Jean steps in. Literally. She stomps on the ascending credits with a stylish boot, and then teams up with Bayonetta to smash the rapidly descending deity corpse into smithereens as it re-enters the atmosphere, properly saving the world. It's all totally awesome and epic, and a suitably spectacular ending to an unforgettable adventure, and hang on, how are they both breathing in space? And number 1, Sam & Max Hit the Road. Originally released in 1993, Sam & Max Hit the Road put players in control of anthropomorphic freelance police duo Sam & Max as they take on a shady job to recapture a missing Bigfoot. Things only get more outlandish from there, and a comedic puzzle-solving adventure ensues. The combination of Sam & Max's madcap comic antics and LucasArts' wit and inventiveness resulted in a beloved classic that delighted fans with its many humorous moments and fourth wall breaks. It comes as no surprise then that Sam & Max Hit the Road provided its very own take on the fake game over trope. It manifests in the form of a wishing well which players can toss cash into so the characters can make wishes. The well thankfully denies Max's somewhat alarming wish to have absolute power to decide who lives and who dies, but briefly seems to grant Sam's wish when he expresses a desire for the game to be over. Luckily, Sam's sense of duty wins out, and he interrupts the resulting fake-out ending to get things back on track. Phew, all's well that ends well, I suppose.